Hello and welcome back to VBA in 5 minutes with Zach George. Today we're going to be learning about user forms in Excel. This one is a little bit more involved, so we're going to get started right away, get right into it, go through the code, how to set up a user form. The idea is we have an Excel spreadsheet and we want to build something to where we can allow a pop-up to happen and the user or the customer can enter in the information and then it saves that data into the Excel sheet. So it makes things look a little bit more professional. You have more control around what users can enter into your table, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we have our data entry sheet here. We're going to be capturing 3 fields: the date, customer name, and then the quoted amount or the dollar amount. All right, so we're going to go ahead and select our Visual Basic here. We're going to get our window that pops up. All right, so normally we've been working with modules. Today we're going to be working with a user form. So we're building an actual form to collect data and then save that data. All right, so we're going to right click in our pane over here, insert user form. We're going to get this nice little empty box here, okay? So we're going to be capturing 3 things: date, customer name, and quoted dollars. So we want to enter in 3 text boxes to where the user can enter in data, and then we want to add a button to where when they hit that button, it saves the data into the worksheet. All right, so we're going to grab from our toolbox here. If you do not see this toolbox button, you should see it right here. Click this and it'll pop up and you'll get your options here. So go ahead and drag this one over here. We'll resize it and then we'll simply just copy and paste, put one there and put one there. Okay, so those are the 3 fields that we're capturing: date, customer name, quoted. An important thing to do with your user forms are naming your objects. All right, so this first one, we're going to look down here in the properties and you see the name right here. We'll rename this thing to date text something so that we can reference it in our code later. We'll call this one customer text, and then we'll call this one quote text. All right, and then we'll add a nice little box here that denotes what we are trying to capture. So we add a little label here. That's the A symbol here. We dragged it above our text box here, and we're going to go down to caption right here. We'll call this date, just so the user knows what they're entering in. We'll copy and paste that again, just like we did with our text boxes. We'll rename this one to customer name, and then we'll copy and paste one more time. We'll put that one here, and we're going to call this one quote $sign. All right, so now the user knows what they're entering into these text boxes. Now the last thing we need is a button. So when they press the button, it's going to save the data over. All right, so right here is our command button. We're going to drag that, drop that here. Now what we want, actually let's give this thing a name, proper name. So we're going to click our object. Our name of this thing is just going to be save. We'll call it save data. And then we'll give it a caption that says the same thing: save data, so the user knows what's going on when they click that button. All right, so now what we want to do is actually write the code to save this data. All right, so in our button, we're going to double click our button, and you'll see what that does is it creates this sub for us immediately: private sub save data. And when it's clicked, what do we want to happen? Well, we want to take the values from our form and save it to our Excel sheet. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get the last row of our data set. And we learned this process in an earlier video, so if you haven't learned it yet, go back and watch that one. Highly recommend it. So we're going to get the last row of our data set. So we're going to call it last row equals, we're working with our active sheet, so active sheet dot cells. We're going to be working with our active sheet again. Dot rows dot count. We're counting column A. We want to get the last row in column A. Dot end Excel up dot row. Okay. Now we don't want to just get the last row. We want to add one to the last row because that's where we're going to be saving our data. All right. So we got the next available row in our data set from our active sheet. Now what we need to do is capture those values from our form. So what are we going to be doing? Well, we're in our active sheet. We're going to be setting the value of column A and last row dot value equals what? Well, it equals our user form data. And we can reference our user form by using the value of me, which references, okay, I'm using whatever I'm in, which is the user form, me dot, and what do we want to get the value of for our first one, column A, which, well, it's the date. So me dot date text dot value. There we go. And then we're just going to do the same thing for the rest of the fields here. So we're going to say B and last row dot value equals me dot customer, our text field customer. And then the last one, we are getting column C equals me dot, well, it's our quote dot text dot value, and there we go. So now when we click that button, it's going to get the last row of our data set. And then what it's going to do, it's going to take the value of the date text, the customer text, and the quote text, and save those values to the appropriate column. So A, B, and C. All right. So now what we need to do is we need to create a separate module that actually opens up this user form. All right. So we're going to insert module. We'll just call this thing sub open form. Open with an N, open form. And we're simply just going to reference our user form. So user form 1, which is the name of our form right here. We're just going to say .show. And there we go. So we have the function that is going to actually open up our form. And then inside of our form, inside of our button here, we have the code that is going to save the data from the form to our sheet. All right. So now what we need to do is have a way to open up this form, or call that module that opens up the form. So we're going to go to insert, shape. We'll grab any button that you want or shape that you want. We'll drag and drop it here. We'll right click and say assign macro. And we want to assign it to that open form that we just created. We'll say okay. And there we go. So now when we click this button, bam, we get our form that pops up right here. Date, customer name, quote. So let's go ahead and enter a date. We'll enter today's date, 24, customer name, we'll enter my name, and the quote, we'll say $500. And when I hit this save data button, bam, 5/2/24, Zach George 500. If I come in here and I change this to test 1 and I hit save data, bam, it adds it to the next one. So there we go, that's our form. This was a little more than 5 minutes, but I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe, smash that subscribe button, and let me know down in the comments what you want to learn next, and I'll be happy to put together a quick video demonstrating exactly what you guys want. So thank you again. Peace.